Rose Valentino was a veteran police officer with 14 years on the street in Cincinnati until a regrettable occurrence ended her career prematurely. A prominent member of the community, Valentino's standing was damaged after she made a racially offensive remark during an argument.
You know, you've dealt with that sort of thing, and, you know, it's usually always something.
Her firing as a result of the incident stunned her co-workers and the inhabitants. This regrettable episode has stained Valentino's otherwise spotless record, prompting people to ponder the thorny obstacles faced by law enforcement officers in their quest of justice and peace. Rose endured an unpleasant traffic wait on April 5, 2022. She became frustrated as the minutes turned into an hour of waiting. In anger, she made a horrific racist insult due to impatience and mental instability. Before she understood her words, she had spoken them. After realizing her mistake and losing control, Rose regretted it immediately. This event clearly demonstrated the necessity of emotional regulation and mutual understanding and respect in all relationships. Valentino's reputation has been tarnished by a series of troubling episodes in the past. Once, she horrified her loved ones by showing them graphic footage of a murder. The extent to which she's empathetic and sensitive is called into question by the disturbing actions. A disturbing domestic violence case also marred her past. When one partner accused the other of mistreatment and violence, it reveals a concerning pattern of conduct. These events serve as sobering reminders of the necessity to deal with misconduct of this kind and of the value of self-reflection and development in overcoming a troubled past. The temporary police chief strongly recommended termination, citing a consistent failure to stay calm in difficult situations. The chief highlighted instances where the officer's reactions escalated difficult situations, potentially worsening confrontations. This pattern, which violates department guidelines,
tonight over a South Carolina cop caught on camera saying the N-word not once, but twice.
Raises concerns about public safety and the officer's order. This recommendation emphasizes law enforcement professionalism and caution. The proper channels must now review the temporary police chief's assessment and make an educated decision about the officer's future in the department. Columbia Police Sergeant Chad Walker reportedly used a racial slur in a bar fight, provoking community uproar. Witnesses say a disagreement evolved into foul language, raising questions about law enforcement's racial sensitivity.
I hate him so much. I hate this world.
After rolling up her cruiser's window, she uses the N-word.
The Columbia Police Department quickly condemned the actions and promised a thorough internal investigation. Community leaders and advocacy groups have called for accountability, highlighting the need to build trust and respect between law enforcement and the varied population they serve. The incident indicates the need for cultural sensitivity training and better community police ties. Despite crowd protests, Walker continued to use a pejorative slur in his passionate address, creating a tense and unpleasant atmosphere. Despite calls for caution and decency, his harsh comments escalated tensions. The event took an unexpected turn when organizers abruptly fired Walker. Removing him from the podium was welcomed with relief and irritation, underscoring the difficulties of free speech and its limits in public dialogue.
A Cincinnati police officer is under investigation tonight after being caught on her body cam using a racial slur. This was aimed at a high school student outside of her police cruiser.
Now, this isn't the first time a CPD officer has been accused of using such language, but as Local 12's James Pilcher tells us, it's been difficult to make any suspensions or severe discipline stick.
The event highlights the dangers of inflammatory words. Police departments insist on ethics and public trust. Officers undergo intensive training to protect the law and maintain integrity. Transparency, community participation, and impartial enforcement demonstrate their commitment to safety and collaboration. Through responsibility and empathy, these departments build strong relationships with their communities, establishing mutual respect and understanding. This method improves law enforcement and fosters a peaceful society where residents trust their protectors.
Now you're going to be under arrest because what you're doing is illegal.
Don't resist.
after a violent suspect's beating a female police officer is fired and sued. The officer mistakenly identified the person as a criminal. The footage shows the police employing excessive force despite the suspect's acquiescence. Public outcry and accountability demands led to the officer's termination and a lawsuit. This instance emphasizes the necessity for extensive training, enhanced law enforcement communication, and protocol reviews to prevent such situations and uphold justice. David was arrested for loitering outside a nail parlor, which was unexpected. He waited on the pavement, lost in concentration, and waiting for his girlfriend's pampering session to end. He had unknowingly drawn police attention with his casual hovering. His fiancée emerged from the salon to witness his handcuffing, his face furrowed with perplexity. The episode confused David and his girlfriend, turning an ordinary wait into a legal encounter. David was surrounded by officers who accused him of loitering. Confused, an invisible fog obscured the facts. The innocent passerby David was trapped by misconceptions. He pleaded his innocence, but the accusations were too strong. The drama intrigued onlookers who muttered. As tensions rose, officers' expressions showed skepticism. The scene showed the turmoil of fast judgments. David stood in the middle of a confusing ordeal, perplexed. David honestly presented a receipt and bank statement to the receptionist to prove he paid for the nail session. His voice was calm, trying to reason patiently. "I understand there might be a mix-up, but I assure you, I settled the fee last week," he said, his eyes showing determination and care. He pointed to the documents with confidence, and the receptionist scrutinized the documents, frowning. After a moment of tension, she nodded, suggesting a truce. David and Alice, determined to seek justice, have advanced. They decided to charge the female cop. Because they want law enforcement accountability and reform, they persevere through the judicial process. As they fearlessly face adversity, they reflect a social desire for honesty and fairness. This decision reflects personal journey and a larger movement for equality and integrity. A coin toss determined a woman's arrest, resulting in fast punishment for the officers involved amid a public uproar. The body camera film showed apparent power abuse and injustice. The uproar caused the police department to fire the officers who made the unjust judgment. The tragedy highlights the need for police reform and accountability, and sparks a discussion about systemic challenges in law enforcement. Tensions rose when Officer Ramirez abruptly entered the driver's lane. The driver's heart raced as they avoided a crash. Rolling down the window, they questioned the officer's unusual behavior. The voices grew sharp, and the encounter was confusing. The crisis gained authority when backup arrived moments later. Onlookers were curious about Officer Ramirez's obstruction claim. Later footage showed the driver keeping their lane. The fake charge fueled police misconduct arguments. The incident highlighted power dynamics and law enforcement transparency. After an internal probe regarding her mishandling of $500 found in a homicide victim's wallet, Officer Keisha Richburg was fired. The episode put doubt on her integrity and protocol, tarnishing her record. Her termination by the department emphasizes the need for law enforcement trust and transparency. This episode highlights officers' responsibilities and the repercussions of violating them. The mystery wallet's cash disappeared, leaving the owner mystified and worried. Richburg, a stranger, sent the case to the homicide unit sergeant. It was unclear why this unusual measure was taken, sparking conjecture. As the investigation began, Richburg's participation in the missing funds was questioned. Each moment heightened the mystery and strengthened the search for truth, uncovering a web of intrigue that could reveal unforeseen truths. Richburg was fired by Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields in July 2019 for the behavior. The event occurred when EMT Getter and a concerned onlooker gave Richburg cash assistance. This encounter aroused police ethics concerns. Richburg was then fired by Chief Shields to promote transparency and department integrity. The gathering stressed the need for public trust and law enforcement professionalism. A new statement by the Atlanta Police Union questions Officer Richburg's culpability. The union plans to thoroughly scrutinize the ruling, questioning its correctness. Officer Richburg, who was fired after a controversial incident, has appealed and is seeking a reversal. A fair and impartial investigation has dominated the public conversation on the case, and the union's doubts regarding Richburg's guilt complicate the appeal procedure.